lot of people often get caught during the beginning of the wet after that. That's the point. You can be in a nice dry area where there's been no rain for a long time at the beginning. Yes, this is one of the dwellings, or one of two dwellings here at the old Fitzroy crossing, still inhabited by people. And of course it gets flooded out every flood season. We have to clean it out every time. Crossing post office, ladies and gentlemen. These days, it's a backpacker's accommodation. I always like to stop here for people that might like to take a photograph of the old Fitzroy crossing post office.
Oh, there's no water.
Fitzroy crossing.
He'd say something about no alcohol in the car.
Oh, sorry, nearly went past you.
That's right.
Just hang on with glasses.
Famous Fitzroy crossing.
All the tourists rushed over one side to have a look, and
All the people on the tour.
Folks in the front boat here, okay? Thank you. My name is Rex Walker, and I'd like to invite you all to sit back and relax and enjoy the scenery. And for the duration of the trip, which is roughly an hour, I'll do what I can to identify things that we see along the way. Make the trip as interesting as I can. Firstly, I'd like to mention a couple of things with your safety in mind, and that is, firstly, we had asked that no one puts their hands or feet over the side of the boat in the water. The reason for that is that we have a very healthy population of freshwater crocodiles here. And even though they're generally considered not to be a threat to humans, the mistakes can be made, and a hand or a foot just trailing the surface could be mistaken for something else. So if you keep everything inboard, we won't have that problem. If any of you are smokers, we would ask that you don't do so until we get back to the landing, please. Purely out of consideration of those who are sitting quite close to you and can't escape the smoke. If any of you would like to stand to move around the vessel to take photos, feel free to do that. The only thing we ask is you go back and sit down again as soon as you finish what you're doing, so you're not getting in the way of those sitting behind you. And if you think of any queries that you might have along the way, try to remember them until we get back, and I'll either myself or Kevin will be only too pleased to help you with those. Okay, now we've got that out of the way. I suppose you're all aware by now this is the Fitzroy River that we're travelling on. In case you're wondering which way it flows, we're travelling upstream. And we will be doing so for about 3 kilometres before we make the turn and make our way slowly back. Over on the right at the water's edge on the right hand side is a crocodile, the first one I've seen. You blokes might have seen one before now, but that's one there right on the water's edge. This is where they'll mostly be this afternoon, and I feel that we will see quite a lot of them, particularly on the way back. What happens is these crocodiles are cold-blooded creatures, and usually from now on they start to come out onto the banks to warm themselves up in preparation for the cool night that's ahead.
Yep.
Now the Fitzroy River is not a very long river as rivers go. It's only about 800 kilometres total length. It has its beginnings in the Hen Ranges, about 450 kilometres northeast of here. It finally runs into the sea just about 60 km south of Derby, runs into King's Sound.
Yeah.
Now what the river lacks in length, it makes up for in ferocity. When it floods, it becomes one of the fastest flowing rivers in Australia.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see.
Those vines that you see climbing in the trees and over the rocks and climbing over everything, that's wild passion fruit vine. For the most part. There is another vine there that you will see a lot of around the gazebo where you got your tickets from, around that area. There's a lot of vine there with a larger leaf, which is called potato vine. It has a round seed pod on it, the potato vine, but you leave that well alone. But the passion fruit vine, you can eat the fruit on that one. There's seeds inside a fairly tough casing, very similar to the passion fruit that you all know. Just break open the casing and eat the seeds inside, and they're very sweet. It tastes very similar. Passion fruit is not native to this country, it has been introduced from South America, and we strongly suspect that it was brought into the country with the importation of cattle fodder during the times of drought, way back in the 1920s somewhere when it started off. Obviously vine growing conditions here very much to its liking, and it does quite well here, but only for a short period of time. As soon as the hot weather returns, the passion fruit dies almost instantly and is gone. But not before it lays down a bed of seeds, which ensures a healthy crop next time the river floods. Now folks, we're getting a bit closer to the formations that form the walls of the gorge. I'd like to explain a little bit about what they are and how they come to be here. Now these formations that you're looking at are the fossilised remains of a limestone reef. Now up until about 70 million years ago, much of the Kimberley region was underneath the sea. And this reef was built up prior to those times, a long way prior to those times, and it was built up in much the same way the coral reef is built today. The different marine creatures were responsible for its construction. Now some ancient corals were involved, but for the most part there were little marine creatures called stromatoporoids. These things were very small, and they used to secrete a limy substance to secure themselves to prevent being pushed around by ocean currents. And it's this slimy substance that listed the calcium content of the residue, the skeletal remain, if you like. And because of these deposits that were left so high in calcium, they were very quickly converted to limestone by the pressure of the deposits above them pressing down. Now this all happened during a period of time known geologically as the Devonian Age, which was about 350 million years ago.
Yes, every one of them.
At least that one's sunning, you can see
And
it.
the building process took, as far as we know, about 50 million years. time 350 million years back was known geologically as the Devonian Age, and this rock takes its name from that period and is known as Devonian limestone. Recognised by geologists as being the finest examples of this kind of stone anywhere in the world. Now the reef structure itself is quite large, it's over 1,000 kilometres in length.
They're all little
It
ones
varies
now.
between 8 and 15 kilometres wide, and in some places is over 2 kilometres deep. Now by some freak of nature, the river has found its way right through the reef, one side the other, very likely following a fault line that would have been created by the upheavals of the Earth's crust that made the sea recede back to where it is now. And some 70 million years has been gnawing away at the walls of the gorge, ever making it wider every time the river floods. The crocodile swimming alongside us over between us and the right hand bank there. Just leisurely making his way along there, but not worried too much about the boat going by. Now just in front of us here is a good example of how the river is eroding away the bottoms of the cliffs, undermining them. And sometimes this undermining activity is such that the overhanging rock is just too heavy and it breaks off and falls into the river. And that's what's happened immediately ahead of us here. Where those huge boulders ran in the middle, they used to be part of the cliff face from there until about 95 years ago, we believe. This rockfall occurred. And as far as we know, this is the most recent rockfall to occur anywhere in Geikie Gorge. Now most of the erosion that you see happening here is not due to the force of the water wearing it away, but there's an acid reaction between the water and the calcium in the limestone that actually eats into it. And that explains all the unusual shapes and holes that you see. Some of the deposit is obviously a little softer and it eats away faster. And obviously down low at the bottom of the cliff, because the water is dropping away ever so slowly this time of the year, it's in contact with the water for a lot longer than what the higher levels of the wall are. That's why the cliffs get undermined the way they do. Now the two-tone effect on the wall, as you probably guessed by now, indicates the high water mark the floodwaters get to nearly every year. I didn't quite get to the top of it this year, it was probably 2 or 3 metres down. And when you get close to the wall again, or when we go past these rocks here, you will see that the rocks have a strange dimpled effect, little scallops all over the surface, which is further indication of the water actually eating into the rock face. Now this cliff face on our right hand side here is known as the east wall, Geikie Gorge, and most of those little holes and cracks up there are providing homes for little bats. There's several different species of bats here. They'll be in front of us too. We'll pass quite close to that, provided it doesn't move, you'll get an opportunity to get a really close photo. Unfortunately, not going to play the game. This east wall has got the most colour in it, very late in the afternoon, and just before the sun disappears over the horizon, the colours really light up. Now those of you on the right hand side of the boat, if you look ahead of the boat and up at the top of the white area, you'll see an overhang of rock that has some little mud nets filled underneath it. Now you guys on the left hand side, I'll show you some further up the river, and are on your side. You see them there? They're underneath the overhang at the top of the white area. Mud nests built underneath the overhang of rock. These mud nests are built by a little swallow-like bird called the fairy martin, also known as a bottle fly.